use a lot of credit card points and use a lot of deals to make it as economical as possible for myself. Focus on your studies as much, get enough education and a degree, etc., that you can support yourself. Just get out of the house, get what the world experience that you can, because there are obviously cases where the kids are naturally gifted, inclined. There are a lot of alternative careers which are available, especially on the creative side. So हमारे time पे people would not think as much. Like nobody would only think probably the companies can do is find out other backup sectors where the climatic conditions are not exactly the same. Achieve everything, prove to the world that yes, I am there and I'm no, it's like a normal day के नहीं बस 6 o'clock हो गया तो मैं काम नहीं करूँगा वैसा. I mean, and I had reached a point where I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, and I slowly started applying. More than ego पे आ जाता है, it really जब खटकता है when you don't see that salary hitting your bank. At least I came to know that how active really the whole ecosystem is. So many new things that people are trying to build out. In a career of 25-30 plus years, right? If for 2 years, 1-2 years, if there is a fall like this, there's a lot of crap that you used to watch earlier. You still watch.
Why does every girl think that?
Women especially, that I'll have to go back to my parents' house and again the same thing, become a burden to them. Earlier there were very handful number of women who would join the workforce, have a career. पहले के ज़माने में क्या था, moms और fathers, everybody would be like, नहीं, let me do this for my parents, my siblings and my kids and this and that. And probably would be that पैसा किसी का भी हो, but waste नहीं होना चाहिए.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Level Up, a podcast brought to you by Lakhani Financial Services. On today's episode, we have someone who is a chartered accountant and a CFA charter holder. She comes with over 10 plus years of experience in the professional world and is making huge strides in the venture capital ecosystem. Please welcome Mrs. Parmi Doshi. Hi Parmi, how are you doing today?
Hi Devansh. Hi, thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for the kind words as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming here on the show, and I hope I pronounced your name properly.
Yes.
There is not going to be any editing there. Great to have you here, Parmi. After a lot of communication to and fro, we are finally here on this podcast. Nice. I think it's going to be a good episode. Let's start. So I think in the introduction I mentioned a little bit about you. What you're doing and who Parmi is in very short words, but we like to do this little differently. Okay, so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us something that people don't know about you, right? Probably in the startup ecosystem, people know who Parmi is and what she's doing, where she's working, etc. Right? But tell us something that we don't know.
I can then tell you about my likes, dislikes, some of
please,
the things that
whatever
quite interest me. So one of my most passionate things to do in life is travel. So more often than not, I will always know where I'm going next, and usually I am planning one trip, and in my back of my mind I know where I'm going next. So after this trip is done, the planning for the next one starts. Okay. And I get very deep into the whole thing, where I'm just doing a lot of research and checking out what places to see and where to go, how to go about doing things, plan the whole thing. And I'm also a big deal hunter, so it gives me a lot of adrenaline and satisfaction when I'm just actually actively looking for deals. Steal deals, and be it flights, hotels, whatever, right? Even activities and stuff like that. I have no issues. I will spend hours and hours if required, but I will do everything I can to make the itinerary the best way that I would like to see. And so I'm a very active planner. That's where it fits very well. I have my husband who just very nicely will just come. I'll just tell him that these are the 5 places we're going. He'll be okay, and then we'll go. So that way it sits perfectly well that he's somebody who can accompany me everywhere without doing too much chit. Oh, let's go here, let's do that. He has full trust in the fact that I would have done my research. So let's just go where she's taking us. So
Okay.
that's one thing that I really
Wonderful.
really enjoy. Second thing is food. I mean, if you are a friend of mine, you really know how much food consumes me. So I'm a vegetarian, but within that also, right? And it be it the most finest of fine dining experiences where you have 10-course meals or eating the local street food. I am in for everything as long as it tastes good. And I have no problems traveling to any parts, just specifically
Just to eat.
just to eat.
Okay.
So I'll
Some
tell you an
delicacy.
incident. So there was a time. Now it's been a couple of years now, 8-9 years back. So we went to Surat once. Me and my cousins, we went to Surat once for the Makar Sankranti, and we heard a lot about the food over there, and we really enjoyed ourselves. We were there for 3 days, and the next year, and all of us are pretty fascinated with food, right? We specially took a 2-day trip only to go to Surat and have food.
Oh, wow.
So just because a lot of nice things, like everything from cocoa to chole to those your idadas and locho and all of that,
Yeah.
right? So
All the Gujarati
all
dishes.
very typical Gujarati stuff. So yeah, food is again something that is very very close to my heart, and I mean it's the most simplest thing, right? If I'm not happy, if I'm a little angry, whatever, right? Just get me nice food, and the problems will be much lesser. The best way to convince me
Okay.
to do things. And then so I really enjoy dancing. Then
Oh, nice.
so I've learned over the years.
Garba?
Garba also I do. I've not learned Garba, but yes, I do enjoy doing Garba. I've learned a bit of
Being a
salsa,
Gujarati,
jive and
of
stuff.
course,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. But learn a little bit of here and there, and done a few classes over the years. But
Okay.
and I'm always the one who's participating in school or college programs, or I'm the designated choreographer for any family sangeet.
Oh, wow.
So just to deal with people and family and just ensure that things get done in the right way. So yeah, so those sort of things. I mean, I really really enjoy dancing. This gives so much peace and joy when I'm doing it.
How
Then-
often do you dance right now? With
No, right now it's actually become lesser because it's really a big fight and big challenge to find the time to go in the dance class slots and stuff like that. So I don't end up doing it too much as I would have liked. I mean, sometimes on and off, where you have the single like one song related dance classes, right? So those sort of things I still try to do. But it's been a while since I took those courses where you have like like what 3-4 weeks wala course, 1 2 months wala courses where they'll actually teach you a proper dance style.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since I've done that.
So my wife does Garba classes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, with the group Thangat. I don't know
Oh
if you've
yeah.
heard about
Oh,
that
I've
group.
seen them a lot on the
Yeah,
on
so
Instagram.
she is taking dance classes from them to become a Garba teacher.
Teacher.
Also.
Oh, fantastic.
So she can also teach in her part time whenever she gets free over the weekends or something.
Oh, nice.
So she's like very very passionate about Garba.
Okay.
And like probably she's won some medals and stuff like that also when she was a kid and all. But now she's again restarted it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, last year she
I
had
can
broken
really
her
understand.
ankle, but
Acha.
due to a fracture during dancing only. So
Huh.
now she has to again rebuild herself and again participate in the classes, and then probably she can perform with that group in
They do
Falguni
really good
Pathak.
stuff.
Yeah.
They do really good
Yeah,
stuff.
so last year we had gone there, but we were standing on the side and seeing the other people dance from that group.
Oh, but it's a really good idea. Maybe I should consider. Maybe
And it's
talk to
just
her also.
and it's on a Sunday, so in Ghatkoper East only.
Okay.
The classes are there.
Acha.
So it's just on a Sunday, 12 to 2 hours. She can
Okay.
easily remove that time
Yeah,
on a
west to
Sunday.
east is
On a Sunday
days
it is na,
also.
so no
Exactly.
work and all, so you can easily go.
Yeah.
So she has started that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Kudos, yeah. Really, really.
Yeah.
Nice. Happy for her.
So tell me, when you were talking about traveling, right? Like just a question that came to my mind. Where did you travel last? And during that travel, what was your next trip that came to your mind?
So I'll tell you the one before that. So the last personal trip that I made was November last year, and I went to New Zealand. So
Okay.
with my husband and a couple of friends, and that time I knew I was going to Singapore because our offsite was scheduled for Singapore.
Okay. So that was a professional trip, matlab.
So it's basically the whole team, the full Bangalore team, Bombay team, everybody comes together
Okay.
once a year to have strategy discussions, and
Okay.
in general just wind down and just go out in the evening and stuff like that. So I extended that trip by another 4 days, called my husband also, because it's pretty close, right? So there again I use a lot of credit card points and use a lot of deals to make it as economical as possible for myself. But yes, so New Zealand was a the main trip before that trip. And so that was like a dream destination for me and my husband since 6-7 years now. Ever since we started planning our honeymoon, that was the first thing that came on our list. But we couldn't go that time because it was not the season when we were getting married. And then COVID
You got
struck.
married 6 years back.
7 now.
7 years back. So
Yeah.
that time you were planning for your honeymoon to New Zealand.
Yeah, we wanted to, but we
but
got
the season
married.
was-
Yeah, we got married in April, so
Okay.
it was not a season. It's winter there, so you can't go. And
okay.
then we thought, okay, we'll go down the line, maybe a couple of years later and something. And then COVID struck, and so yeah, it was this plan for 7 years that we
That
really
dream
want
destination.
to go there, and finally managed to execute it. You'll not believe, my trip was in November. I booked my tickets in January that year, January 23, because I
To
got
get a
deal.
good deal, basically.
Because I was tracking it ever since New Zealand opened for tourists, which was probably July 22, little before that when they opened up. And man, the flight costs were insane. So I was just constantly tracking it, okay, let it come down, and that's when I book it. And then one fine day, I realized that Singapore Airlines has a deal going on, and we closed it right there, and we booked it for November. We're like, ठीक है 10 महीने 11 महीने दूर है, but it's okay. Let's do it. And just, yeah, probably one of the most beautiful locations anybody can ever go to. And there's so many.
How many days
things
you were
to We were about for 17 days or so.
Oh, wow.
End to end, like 2 days of travel and all, but overall about 17 days.
It's very beautiful and scenic, right?
Very beautiful and scenic. Plus, there's so many adventure activities there. It can actually be like the adventure capital of the world. Queenstown is actually even called that. But when you imagine the activity, and you'll find it in New Zealand, and it's not like it's just concentrated in one location.
Different cities.
Yeah, so
okay.
it's and even in the smaller sort of towns, etc. Also, you'll find one or the other thing to do in terms of activities.
Something you will manage.
Yeah,
to
it's just
find
it's just spread across, and they have so many things to do. It's just beautiful. I strongly recommend everybody to go there once.
I want to go there, but I also want to go there to watch a cricket match because I really love the cricket stadiums in New Zealand.
Okay.
They are one of the most scenic cricket stadiums.
Oh, just like
it's
Dharamshala.
not. Yeah, just like Dharamshala. So right now, me and my wife had gone to Dharamshala only in Jan. So we visited the stadium. So that is very scenic, very beautiful. And there was a match going on, so we could literally sit down for 45 minutes. I told my wife, I want to watch here. It's a good match going on. It was a Ranji Trophy match, not an international match. But still,
it's just an experience.
Yeah, I love cricket, so I just wanted to sit down and watch the match, And the experience is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think similar would be in New Zealand stadiums. In fact, little bit better also maybe if
Maybe.
So that is one thing I want to see in all these cricketing nations at least one cricket match.
Makes sense.
So I'm a big cricket fan. So
now that you say it, actually, I was like, it didn't strike me. I'm not a cricket fan, but my husband is. He's one of those.
So, but he did not tell you that I want to watch.
No, he did. It did really come up only that I want to go watch a match, and maybe because there's no big tournament happening or something.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
guessing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would have really enjoyed
that.
Yeah,
one match in a stadium in every city, not in every city, but in every country where international cricket is being
it's
played.
A good idea, actually.
That's my one goal, at least for the next. I would not say a goal, but it's just a thought. Now that I'm talking to you about travel, that thought is coming to me. That
you can absolutely.
Yeah. So probably you can also. Have you ever thought of switching careers also to some like a travel thing or something, like plan a travel tech startup or something?
No, not like that. No, I think I've not really thought on going on the creative. At one point, I was thinking that maybe I should do something in dancing because I was few months in between my last job and the current job, where I was just still trying to go. Figuring out what to do next and interviewing and stuff like that. And that's when I was a dance teacher as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
I found a couple of dance students thanks to my mother-in-law and her network. And I was teaching a few people just few hours a week. So that's probably one time I was like, okay, maybe should I do this full-time. Not full-time. But then I think eventually I'm probably better suited for a work life or work culture.
Computer wala.
Yeah, probably. Maybe it's a little boring, but for some people who are probably on the creative side. But for me, I'm pretty happy doing this.
But you've studied CA and finance, but your passion is a little bit more on creative side, is what I can.
Passion, yes. Passion so that's something I like to do in my time, my free time, yes.
But would you ever switch that as a career option, maybe in the future or something? Anything to do with creative, maybe this.
I don't see myself doing it full time. Maybe if I find the time to do it on the side,
Yeah,
maybe few
weekends or
hours
something.
a week or weekends or something like that. Probably something like that. Yeah.
You should really explore this Thangat thing if you
Yeah.
are fond of Garba very much, because they allow their students to become teachers.
Okay.
So right now what my wife is doing is she's taking the teacher training कि teacher कैसे बनते हैं.
हाँ, correct.
So she's taking that training. So
Yeah.
maybe a couple of few months, maybe next season, she'll be ready to become a teacher, and then she can teach Garba also.
Fantastic.
Whatever the technicalities, etc., everything. So that
Okay.
is what she's doing. And then she can perform आगे जो
yeah,
फाल्गुनी
yeah,
पाठक में
for the competition.
yeah, the competition
Yeah.
part she can perform
Correct.
with the group out there.
Right.
All right. So tell me, this was really good to know some, different side of you. Tell me something about your growing up years. How were you as a kid? You told me behind right now that you resided at Ghatkopar. Probably that foodie angle comes from there only, I'm
Maybe.
assuming, because Ghatkopar East is filled with eateries and cow gullies and all that stuff, right? So tell me about your growing up years. How were you as a kid, as a student? Your education also growing up, etc.
So I grew up in my initial years. It was a joint family where my family and my kaka's family, we were all living together, and I have an older brother. So he's 6 years older, so there's reasonable
Good gap.
age gap. But I have two cousins who are slightly younger than me. One is 1 year younger, then one is 4 years younger. So the three of us were primarily just playing together all the time and doing all sorts of natak and just having a good time. And same with the cousin was a year younger than me. She's a sister. So I still remember doing so much melodrama, right? Because we're two girls just playing with Barbie and all sort of dress up and setups. And I remember one of the times when Hum Saath Saath Hai actually had come out.
Okay.
And what we used to do was, and the songs were very popular, right? And the outfits and everything.
Yeah.
So we would try to find the closest outfits to what's being there shown in the song, and we would wear those outfits and then dance on those songs, and just and we would do that for all multiple
Enjoy,
songs, and just in general just have fun. So I have like a big cousin gang overall. We're like about 10 of us in my family. So it's been usually pretty much.
Everyone were in Ghatkopar only, like.
Yeah, nearby. That's the thing. So my dad's side, even my mom's side, all of them reside in Ghatkopar East. And there's just one person who stays in just about 5-7 kilometers away, but primarily is just everything is Ghatkopar East. Yeah. So is it that I'm quite used to people coming over and just or I mean going to relatives' house and just in general just hanging out, having
किसी
fun.
के भी घर पे चले गए.
हाँ, but and that honestly that happens till date. I mean, I've obviously now moved out, but till date, I mean, my dad's side of family and all, they meet like every 7 to 10 days in somebody or the other's house without any agenda or any fuss or anything. Just just general, just hanging out with each other and having the best time. And so so that's just a little bit about on the family side. And as a student, so I was actually a pretty sincere and very Daya bacha like that. So my parents never had a problem. And until my college CA days, CFA days, I mean, I would be pretty worried, especially for CA, CFA exam results and stuff like that. And my parents or some of my family.
CA you did in which year?
So I cleared in 2011.
You cleared in 2011, okay. Yeah. I just joined my articleship in 2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while now. Yeah. So I mean,
that was first attempt?
CA final was first attempt.
Okay. Yeah. So you're intelligent.
CFA was also first attempt like that.
Charter holder also. So.
that is तो ठीक है. I mean, वो तो second, third attempt में भी हो ही सकता है. Charter holder तो ठीक है. It's just about that experience.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at least because I'm the exam giver, I would be worried, but they were like, नहीं हो जाएगा. We are not so stressed. And, so throughout my school life, I've been like a grade A student of what you call very sincere, focused on giving her exams, getting the right grades in place, and just I mean, very driven like that. I mean, because this is how you move further in life, that get all the right grade, get the right things in place, so that get a job somewhere and then work as much as you can, work hard, and then move up. So it's very clear like that. So yeah, I mean, that's my journey as a student.
So not a mischievous girl, no complaints from school or something. Nothing
a
of
little
those
bit
sorts.
here. I mean, even if they're probably very less.
Very less.
Not too much really.
Uh-huh.
I mean, thoda bahut obviously you are having fun with friends in school and just talking and chatting and doing things. But itna I don't ever remember an incident where my parents were probably called to school to just tell them that she's too mischievous or something. I think at best they would have said that she talks a little much. But other than that, though, I don't recollect.
Mine was thoda ulta. So my mom has been called to school quite a few times for bunking classes, for being caught to do some masti or something.
Okay.
And once what had happened was it was our 10th standard. So it was just like before the boards, you have to
Prelims and
like just before the prelims, you have to leave the school, right? I mean, 10th May, it's just like 8 to 9 months, not the entire 12 months.
You have to study.
So last May, just 15-20 days were left, and that time me and my couple of friends, we were bunking, and we were just chilling around, roaming in the school as a time pass. And the head girl caught us.
Oh.
And like we said, Abhi, what do you want to do? Like last 15-20 days are left. Why you want to take us to the vice principal?
Why create a
So she was like a chamchi of the principal and vice principal. So she took us. And the vice principal called my mom and the other two fellows' mom also. And like we'll chuck him out and everything. So I told my mom, relax. 15 दिवस अच्छे. There's nothing. What is going to happen in 15 days, right? Now, the portion is completed. Studies are going properly with tuitions and stuff like that. What is going to happen? So don't worry, it's okay. We called her inside, and within 15-20 minutes, my mom said sorry and stuff like this. Let him go and stuff. He let me go. He's like, okay, nothing to be done. I'm like, then why did you waste so much time? I told to the head girl, that you know me, we know you. Why are you doing all this time pass? So that was one very stupid incident of calling my and my friend's mom and trying to get us rusticated for those 15-20 days. Tell me about your education. Like you are a CA, you are a CFA, 10 plus years of professional experience now. How important has been education in your family? Growing up with your mom, dad, and you're living in a joint family also.
Right.
So how important was it imparted to you that okay, you have to be educated? And how was the culture at your home? Being like if I have to consider a traditional Gujarati family, तो थोड़ा on off हो सकता है, where they would be like धंधे पे बैठ जा or do something else.
For boys especially.
So like even for you or for your brother also for that matter, or for your cousins also, how was the culture? I want to know about that.
Yeah, so no, thankfully it was not that traditional, and actually I do give kudos to my parents on that front. I mean, my dad especially, him and his siblings, they've been born and brought up in Kanpur, and then they moved here a little around college time. So my dad has done some bit of college in Bombay, but I mean his thought process and thinking is fairly modern in comparison to somebody who would have been staying in the whole of their life in a place like Kanpur. So I was at least told very clearly and made understood that just you study. There was not a lot of pressure in the sense that you have to get first rank, or say you have to be the top of the class and you have to achieve this and that. My dad was like very this thing, you study as much and you do focus on your studies as much, get enough education and a degree, etc., that you can support yourself. Don't be in a situation where you have to fully depend on your husband, or tomorrow if you're supposed to whatever reason, if you don't get
on your
married,
parents also,
or on your parents or your siblings and stuff like that, just be self-sufficient. There was no number put in that you should focus on XYZ amount a year or a month. So nothing like that. But he was like, just be this thing, focus that you need to be self-independent. And so that is what has come. And same thing even for my brother also, right? So he's an engineer, and he in fact picked up pace after graduating from school. Until school he was an average student, but once he joined college he was really well. He was doing very well, and there also my dad has his own business. And my dad was like, we'll see if you want to join business eventually, but at least for a first couple of years, just don't come into business directly. Just get out of the house, get what the world experience that you can, because at the end of the day, I mean, dealing with other people is a significant learning, right? And you have all sorts of challenges that come into your way. And I mean, when you're in a family business, they're all apne log hai, right? It's still very different compared to when you deal with a third person and who's not your family. You have to deal with them in a very professional way,
organized
right?
manner.
Correct. So yeah, so that way, even my brother, I mean, he finished his engineering, he joined Infosys, then he was in
Software engineer.
no, so he did an electrical engineering, but
Okay.
eventually ended up in software only, like
Okay.
most engineers do.
Yeah.
And then so after that, he was working in Mysore, Pune. Then he got offsite opportunities to go to London and go to Canada, etc. So he also managed to gather a lot of exposure in terms of how the world really works. And then eventually decided that it makes sense to come back and do your own business because there's a lot of potential there. So that was his decision, and he came back and he joined the business.
Okay.
And similarly, my mom was also, she was always very interested in studying and interested in having a life of her own. Even
Did she study in her young years?
no, so that's the sad part of it, or I mean, however you were to put it. So because she got married pretty early in her last year of college. In fact, she was like, I don't want to get married. I mean, I'm very happy just the way things are. In fact, I can probably support my father and study and take up some career and stuff like that. But she got married, and the way things were in that generation, right? I mean, she didn't end up working post getting married, but she was very motivated and
Hungry
that,
to learn and-
that at least you do it. That I was not able to do it in my time and my generation, but I would really love it if you can do it. You can have your own career. So that way, there was significant support from both my parents.
Got it. You said a very important thing about that your parents never put you under pressure. कि इतना marks लाना है और you have to achieve this degree, post this degree you have to get this job, इतना पैसा आना चाहिए. Then only your life is set. That's like a benchmark or something. Yeah, probably your neighbor is doing this well. He or she is earning so much. So that was a very important thing. Right now, what at least I am seeing, this is my observation. I think probably even you would be observing that, is that in today's generation, the younger kids who are studying, etc., there's a lot of pressure on them to perform, to get a certain marks, to get in a certain college, to get a certain degree. Whatever is happening in the society, तो मेरे बेटे या बेटी को ये करना है. मतलब, why do you think that this is happening, or like what's your take on this basically?
So I think it's a lot to do with just the stress that parents feel, right? Parents being parents. I think we'll also probably be able to best understand it once we become like that. But yes, I have seen a lot of parents going through that. I mean, and
in your circle, have you seen that maybe,
yes.
or
Yes,
in your
yes,
cousins or
cousins,
something?
friends, etc.
There is pressure properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are obviously cases where the kids are naturally gifted, inclined, so they end up doing well in one or the other field. Obviously, you don't have to do well in 25 fields, right? But they pick a lane and they end up, if suppose they go down that lane and they take they have the necessary learnings, etc., and they end up being good. So their parents are in general less worried because they're like, ठीक है, ये कुछ ना कुछ कर लेगा आगे जाके. I mean, we'll figure his way out. But on the other hand, probably there are a lot of parents who still till date assign professional success to studies, just to studies, based on your grades, based on what degrees you have, because they feel the harsh reality still that if you don't get the right marks, you don't get into the good college. If you don't get into a good college, it will be difficult for you to get a better job.
Naukri nahi to chokri nahi.
Correct. I mean, it's like a vicious circle, right? And right salary and right, like you
But
said,
ये
chokri
पहले
and all that.
होता था, like earlier generation, that was still fine because our parents were not educated.
Yes.
But today's parents being
And
educated
with that much exposure,
and with that much exposure, even they having that kind of mindset, that is still not going into my head. How that is still
because sometimes when you're talking to them and then you try to discuss the part that now there are a lot of alternative careers which are available, especially on the creative side. जो हमारे टाइम पे people would not think as much, like nobody would think, say, okay, I want to go into production, or I want to do become like a journalist or have my own podcast and stuff like that, right? People have become so famous and they're doing so well for themselves, say like a content creator as well, right? So many people have come up doing that.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think it's a mindset which will change slowly with time. I mean, people who have 10, 15-year-olds now, they do have exposure, of course, but they're still worried to let go of the traditional way of things.
I'll tell you, you know, what is my point of view here. What I have seen is that parents, when they want their kids to achieve a certain percentage or marks, when they're growing up, like school years ke andar, they probably, it is either of the two. Either they want them to be like themselves. If let's say if I am, and you know, I'm doing very well, I am you know, a CA and then an MBA and then this, working in a top company, probably, you know, doing very good for myself and the family, you know, and even the mother is a good, highly educated, you know, earning good. Either I want my kid to be like me, you know, highly educated,
absolutely.
you know, should not be ऐसे कुछ भी sports नहीं लेना है, cricketer नहीं बनना है, you know, or you don't have to become a footballer. Even though football is not popular in India, but you cannot become, because I see that similar trait that you must be having, that I have or your mother has, right? Or it is the other way around, that if I have not been able to do this, you know, then you do it. So there is again that indirect pressure. That if I am not a CA, I wanted to become a CA.
that happens.
तो मैं एक छोटी सी जॉब कर रहा हूँ, मतलब मैनेजर हूँ कोई decent कंपनी में, whatever, but you have to become a CA. So ये either or चीज होता है, is what I have at least observed in talking to certain young parents or something who are having, like, you know, 7, 8-year-old kids, 9, 10-year-old kids. But I feel that we should just let them grow and, you know, nurture. Just give them the right platform or the right base to get nurtured.
That's what they are a little worried, and this is cases where people have spoken who have kids who are now in 9th, 10th, that sort of a stage, right? I mean, they know these fields are available, but then the biggest concern is that what if it doesn't work? What if he fails? So that's why people want kids to take the traditional path and, you know, just like, which is fail safe. That when tomorrow if we are not there, I think it comes probably a lot of times, not always, like you said, pressure wala situation mein, but other than that, there are a lot of situations where it comes from a good place, like a good intention, but there's obviously a clash because the kid thinks differently and the parents have a different point of view, and it is very likely that given how things are moving, there is a lot of opportunities on the creative side and the non 9 to 5 jobs. I think it just, and then kids probably will have to put in a lot more effort to convince their parents, especially the ones who don't have that sort of a different thinking.
I think there's a lot of opportunity in all the space, whether it's creative, whether it's sports, whether it's
exactly anything other than 9 to 5.
Anything other than 9 to 5, there are good opportunities available. You can become self-sustainable.
Correct.
You can do something just on your own. Even as a freelancer, you can start something and even pick up pace going ahead. So opportunities ki kami nahi hai.
Yes.
It is just that the mindset of the parents needs to become, they need to think as a kid, okay, what does, how, you know, like, I'm not someone to give gyan to them, but you know, how probably they can create a platform for that kid to get nurtured.
Correct.
Well, so that he or she can, you know, bloom on their own and, you know, grow on their own, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, I was doing some research on you and your firm, Inflexor Ventures, right? I found out that you guys are very bullish about agriculture sector, probably. You know,
it's one of the sectors.
One of the sectors that you all are bullish about, or you all, you know, really like to study that and invest into those companies also. What do you guys you know, find so exciting about agri sector?
Cool. So just one clarification. Overall, I mean, the fund or the investment thesis is pretty technology focused, right? And within technology also, there's a lot more interest towards finding companies which are doing something innovative. There's a lot of emerging technologies which are involved. There's some bit of deep tech and stuff like that. So that is the underlying thing. And agri is just one of the sectors that we have actually invested in. And there are certain very specific business models, including the one company that we have invested, where, you know, we have stronger interest because that sort of aligns with our investment thesis, where what is innovation is it's coming in terms of the technology that you're using, or it's actually a deep science play, the one that we've invested in. So it's For example, that company is building two tech platforms, and what they're trying to do is collect microbes and actually try to analyze, and these microbes are collected from various parts across India from different geographic conditions and climatic conditions, and then to analyze if you can build biostimulants out of it, which are biologicals that can be inputted while you're doing your actual agriculture, right? And so what type of solutions will work in what environment, on what crops and stuff like that. And they want to make a full database out of it, that if suppose you have an X requirement, just look at the database at these 5-7 things will probably, if you put together, and microbes that you put together, and then you can get a solution out of it. So basically our intention of, I mean, rather than just looking at agri sector, is all sorts of such innovative solutions where people are focusing on things that have not been done before. And like a lot of models have already played out in terms of solving for market linkages and solving for cost and stuff like that. So now, I mean, it's given our investment thesis, we have focused more on people who are trying to build innovative solutions around something. So.
Okay. And I had also read in your interview that you said a challenge which the agri sector is facing in India is heat waves and
extreme climatic conditions.
Extreme climatic conditions and unseasonal rains.
Yeah.
That's quite true for our country.
Correct.
What is the kind of solution you guys perceive?
So, and this is not just India thing, right? I mean, what happened
even
last year was
also.
global, right? El Nino was a global issue across. See, the innovative solution in the sense that the company, the investment that I'm talking about, so they are trying to come up with a biostimulant or a biological which will help these crops to adapt to these extreme weathers. Because what happens is, I mean, suppose if there is extreme heats, right? So then your entire crops will get dried up, or floods. There's another form of other harmful effects, right? So the solution or the expectation is that the solution will help crops on how to navigate around these problems and to change or modulate things physiologically in the crops itself, such that they can fight these extreme conditions better.
That's one of the solution that these guys are building.
They are building on it.
But overall, if from a macro perspective, we have to see, even if we just talk about India,
right,
when these kind of conditions are there, it's nature.
Yeah.
Okay. How can we?
Correct. It's after a point. Yeah, exactly. So I think you just have to accept it that this is how the business will work. There will be, especially it is always going to be seasonal in nature, right? You have Kharif, you have Rabi. So you know for a fact that Kharif especially is going to be a bigger contributor to your entire year's revenue, and a good portion then coming from Rabi as well. Balance part, obviously your activity is not going to be as much.
Okay.
So that is the primary thing that is always going to happen in Kharif. Now, if suppose there are such extreme conditions which happen in 1 odd years here and there, I really don't think so there's much you can do, especially if it's affecting the sector that you are operating in. The only thing probably the companies can do is find out other backup sectors where the climatic conditions are not exactly the same. There is some diversity in the sense that if there is extreme heat in one place, maybe find some other location where it is still a little bit cold or it's a bit pleasant, etc. Right? So that because not every region will have the same
climatic
temperature.
Conditions. Yeah.
So instead of focusing on just the current regions that you are, diversify and expand. That's the best solution that you can have. So that even if one place fails, you always have a backup.
But how can that farmer expand?
Okay, I'm talking more
from a business
company
point of view.
Perspective.
But
yes.
In general, how can a farmer how can he expand or how can he save his crops or something? Does he have to change his crops only then? Is that a possibility?
I think it depends on the location, right? Because for farmers, like you said, you can't really expand to another state. They're probably locked to the state that they are currently operating in. So yeah, probably I'm not too sure if there's any solution much around it. Except for probably using better products, which at least will help them fight this to whatever extent that they can.
Okay, got it. Coming back to your professional journey, also you worked at PwC, Big Four, for 6+ years. What was your department like? What were you working?
I was in financial services.
Financial services, but
what? For taxation.
For taxation.
Yeah.
Okay. So after CA, when you took a break, you said, right, you were trying to figure out what you
No,
could
that was
take
after
up.
PwC. Yeah,
Ha,
not
after PwC,
Yeah.
sorry. So you were trying to figure out to probably change your career and to get into dancing or something like that, but you eventually chose this.
Yeah.
Uh, First question is, how is the culture at PwC and what were your learnings kind of there? Because the moment people hear Big Four or PwC or EY or something, it sounds very harsh culture. Late nights,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, what was your experience out there? What did you learn? And then, how come this change or the shift to a complete new ecosystem, which is VC ecosystem?
Sure.
So,
Yeah. So I joined PwC right after I finished my CA. So it was literally my first job. So in that time you have a very different energy in yourself, right? Because you are just, I mean, you're a fresh baby. You are out into the world. You want to achieve everything and prove to the world that no, yes, I am there and I'm important. So yes, so that time the kind of energy that you have is very different. So at least I can't really talk about all the departments within PwC, but and yes, so Big Fours in general do have a reputation that yes, the work culture can be pretty harsh. Long nights is a given, and I wouldn't say that ऐसा नहीं कि VC में long nights नहीं है. I have spent enough and more long nights here also. In fact, I would say I probably have ended up working a lot more weekends in VC than I ever did in PwC.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's about, at the end of the day, culture is what makes or break everything, right? Because it's not that working hours are a problem, but it's just how everything operates. काम तो हर जगह करना ही पड़ेगा. Especially if suppose if you have that ambition that you want to keep moving up, then you have to be willing that okay, I will have to put in the number of hours. That's no way around it. But if you want a quieter life, there's nothing wrong in that also. But yes, it's just about finding the right balance that works for you and the culture that goes with it. So compared to at least a lot of other big fours, the culture in PwC when I was there, it was much better. See, obviously at the end of the day, there is still some bit of rat race that is going to happen, right? I mean, I joined in a year where I joined in as an associate, which is the degree for all CAs, freshers. There were 40 associates on the floor with me.
Oh.
And so there is, I mean, you are competing with all of them. In spite of the fact that you will be in different teams, you may have different sectors that you are looking at, but at the end of the day, they all happen to be in the same department as you. So at the end of the day, yes, you are fighting with 39 other people to get the kind of appraisals that you want, or just so. So yes, so it gets very hectic, and I think it's more from the pressure that comes from that side of things, that constantly running the race, or you have to constantly prove yourself.
And this is self pressure only. खुद ही डालते खुद पे, ऐसा नहीं है कि anyone else is putting.
We have like very dedicated forms and
हाँ.
development appraisal forms that are getting filled at the start of the year.
But no one is telling you have to get this appraisal. आता तो खुद से ही है pressure
but
के.
then, I mean, otherwise you'll not get you'll not get the desired appraisals, you'll not get good ratings, then your growth gets affected to that extent. And eventually everybody wants growth, right? Nobody wants to be stuck in the same position. So yes, at the end of the day, it is still, there is a rat race, and there is a lot of pressure that comes, and it's just not just work related. I think I would have been very okay if it was work related pressure where there's a lot of work. Okay, वो हर जगह होता है. I am okay doing my work, putting in the number of hours, but it's just in Big Four sort of an environment, there are a lot of other things that you have to do in the surrounding as well. For example, go give trainings, take trainings yourself, and send out updates on the floor. In general, like have a very big presence. Like everybody should know who you are, sort of a thing. And I mean, not everybody is built that way, right? Not everybody has that sort of personality also. So yeah, so there's just there's a lot of added pressure. So I mean, at least I was one of a lot of people obviously do Big Fours for the first initial few years in their life and then move on. And I was also one of those people, and I was very clear that I want to be here for a few years and learn as much as I can, because there are a lot of extremely smart people there as well. And all said and done, I have always told this to people, especially a lot of youngsters that come in, right? That Big Four is an excellent finishing school. And I do notice that difference in the new age people that I see working in other industries, my industry or any other industry where I talk to my friends, my husband, etc. Right? That the kind of that dedication and the focus, or I mean, rather to get your output perfect and right, and that professionalism that you see, right? I mean, there's really no sense of casualty, at least at least I have ever noticed until the time that I was there and before. I mean, things were taken very seriously. Your deliverables, your the way you deal with the seniors. So it's like an excellent finishing school for people to learn and see how to actually get
There's
work
someone
done.
who comes from a mid-sized CA firm. If you have done internship or articleship at
Right.
mid-sized CA firm, तो वहाँ पे you are doing everything.
Right.
You're trying to learn everything, right? तो वो पूरा circle समझ में आता है. Here you're
Correct.
probably just in one department
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
वो तो है.
But that in one department you will get, as you said, like you'll get that finishing touch, that finesse
So-
in your way of working, in your approach towards clients, in your professionalism, as you
So
mentioned.
I think my comment was not more from a learning perspective of what I'm say whether I'm learning of just one sector or one sub model or something like that. It is, these are all softer skills of how to be more organized, how to communicate better, or how to deal with people. And just overall be a professional. Don't take things casually कि हाँ मतलब ये तो हो जाएगा. Or I mean I would not ever imagine like, because you hear a lot of these stories about Gen Zs, right, who are like, oh, it's after 6 now and I have commitments towards something personal. I have to go here and there. And I'm not saying that I have anything against that. You absolutely have to have a personal life, but it's just कि बस no, it's like a normal day के नहीं, बस 6 o'clock हो गया तो मैं काम नहीं करूँगा वैसा. So that sort of a, like, it's a very different
Yeah.
attitude. I mean,
Now I think that Gen Z have a very different
the very
attitude.
different
When-
attitude towards work.
Yeah.
That was not there. And I mean, in spite of the industry that people are joining, and I talk to friends, family, etc., and they all have juniors, that attitude
Has
of
changed,
working
yeah.
was very, very different. Things were taken very seriously. So
that hustle culture was
हाँ,
there. I think
अभी
right
वो
now
बहुत कम
थोड़ा
हो गया है.
light
Yes,
हो गया
yes.
है, at least in our field. Maybe some other space or something, some other field it would be a little different. But yeah, even when we take interviews of youngsters, etc., so it's very, they are very clear in what they want. That okay, okay, it's till 7:30 because our work times are till 7:30.
Okay.
Because it's work from home typically. So 7:30, and after that we'll not get work, right? And Saturday को चाहिए ऐसा half day, मतलब holiday चाहिए, but
हाँ,
like
okay.
we are giving half day only.
Okay.
If you are comfortable, you can join.
Right.
But they are very clear when they say
Yeah.
that we need our personal life, we need our work-life balance and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that whole term of work-life balance has really taken a lot of
Correct.
pace in today's generation.
Yes, absolutely. And the new generation is also extremely smart, right? Not taking anything away from them, especially, and what they bring in is an extremely fresh perspective of how to do things, which so far may have not been happening. So that's again a very welcome change. But like you said, right, the work-life balance thing. So when I cleared and I joined the workforce, all of us, and pretty much and it's not just my thinking, everybody around me and friends and wherever they joined, my colleagues in PwC as well, everybody was very clear कि see, the first few years of your life are where you really need to hustle, because that's when you don't have responsibility on your shoulders. You're still with your parents, not married, no kids,
Haan.
nothing, no house responsibilities, etc. So that's really the best time you can put in the most number of hours that you can, and learning as much as you can, because that will really help you grow in the future
Tab
as well.
career,
Yeah,
for your
so those
career.
are the molding years. And once you are married, you have a family, then obviously your time will get allocated to those things. And that's where typically everybody's like that, okay, now I really want
Personal
something
time.
that allows me some personal time, and that allows me flexibility, that I can manage things.
I'll tell you an incident, okay, with this work-life balance thing. So my very close friend, we've done CA together, studied in school together. His grandmother expired, okay, just recently. I don't want to name the big four where he works, but he works in a big four. And he's there in a big four since a long time. One of the big fours. Before that, he was in a थोड़ा मिड साइज से ऊपर वाला जो भी फर्म कहलाता है, he was in that kind of a CA firm
Okay.
with a very good position and stuff like that. And in Big Four also, he's at a good position now, you know. And his partner or whoever senior to him, the day his nani expired, he messaged, my friend messaged him or called him that my nani is expired, so I'll not be available today. In the evening, that partner calls him up and tells him that when can you give the work by today?
Seriously.
Yeah, so that's how rough or
Yeah.
harsh that environment could be. Also, for some
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
sometimes it could be. So that's how Big Fours probably, not
They
all
do it.
and not
Huh.
everyone. Not I'm not generalizing, but there are few people who make that whole environment really harsh, and for the
Yes.
public, to believe that okay, these kind of things are
Things
happening,
happen.
and they run away from it
Correct.
probably. The younger generation, the
Yeah.
younger CAs also.
Absolutely.
That's why very few, I don't know, but I might be wrong, but CAs now who are qualifying, they would either want to start their own practice or get into a MNC जहाँ पे Monday to Friday हो सकता है, and Saturday थोड़ा light होगा, chill होगा. Probably, I'm not too sure. I don't have numbers or data to back, but as much as I've spoken or something, they would probably want to go in a MNC or start their own practice, or maybe some other kind of a job in finance or something.
Right.
But थोड़ा Big Four से वो डर लगता है कि because that perception is such,
It's set.
because of incidents like this that could happen. And now my friend के साथ हुआ होगा, imagine, of course he would have told to his other friends. So people get that perception.
Correct.
From
And bad news always travels faster.
it travels faster, right? Yeah, so please go ahead. Then after PwC, then VC
Okay.
mein kaisa?
So I mean, then I had reached a point where I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, and I slowly started applying to places.
So
and
this, sorry to cut, but this, when you left PwC, you were already married or you were
I was
getting
already
married?
I was
Acha, you were already married.
Yeah. So I met
कितने
my
साल
husband
हुए
in
थे?
PwC itself.
Oh, acha, तो
Yeah, so
no brainer. Then
हाँ,
both
so
are
exactly. So
comfortable.
exactly, and so that's why because you're in office.
He's
one
also a
is-
CA only.
Same department, same team.
Oh, acha.
So yeah.
And
so
now
that-
what does he do?
So he now works in Nomura.
No, okay.
Yeah. So so you already have your partner there, right? So if suppose your partner's working, then you are also waiting back, and so that you can go together. So that way, things are also pretty comfortable.
Okay.
But eventually, both of us were very clear that after some time we want to get out of this.
Yeah.
And so he left first, and then after that, after a year after him, I also left. And so I was looking for opportunities. Where can I do what? Where can I go next? And was interviewing at a couple of places as well. And then came across, and so this was probably another some 4-5 months where all of this was happening, and I had free time on my hands, right? That's when I took up dancing, teaching dancing to people, and just learning a little bit myself here and there. So तभी वो चालू था, and then I came across this opportunity, and that time they were just starting a fund too, and I joined as an intern there because they really didn't have they said the only opening they have there is an intern, which obviously will get converted into a full-time thing, and it's on the investment side, and plus obviously because it's a new fresh fund, right? I was literally probably one of the first employees to join in the new fund, so there are other aspects also that I'll have to look at.
Okay, just to pause here. You were an intern.
Yeah.
After working for 6+
Yes.
years in PwC, CA, CFA, को intern की तरह.
Yeah.
So tell me, because this is really interesting. I would like to know this, that what were you thinking that okay, am I like कभी कभी ego पे आ सकता है. I'm just being very open. How they are considering me as an intern, like it's okay. I'm looking for a job.
Correct. See,
I'm hunting, but
it's about, I think, what is their requirement, who do they need at this point in time, and the fact that what do you want to do in life. I mean, I was very clear that I don't want to go back into the consulting or the tax advisory sort of roles that I was doing in the past. So I was looking for a change, and that's why I was like, okay, fine, let's at least go here and let's check out what is the it was a complete shift. Yeah. So obviously you have to start from
take a step back
zero. Yes. And like you said, वो ego पे आ जाता है. I think more than ego पे आ जाता है, really वो जब खटकता है when you don't see that salary hitting your bank at least, or the kind of salary that you were used to seeing hitting your bank every month.
It would be how
And-
much percentage drop?
Oh,
Let's say 100 rupees
big.
मिलता था तो how much
easily
you?
40% or sort of a drop
Okay.
in salaries like that. So yeah, so that is the biggest adjustment that it takes, because it's used to getting that, right? But okay, you eventually get used to it. But yeah, and your desire of how much you want to do something else. So my thought going in was that okay, let's at least try it out for a couple of months, and then we'll see whether you're liking it, not liking it, and we'll take it from there. And when I joined, I mean, this was literally the time that nothing. I mean, we were just actually still filing for an application for the fund. So I got to do a lot of those ops for fundraising support, ho gaya, filing ho gaya, writing the PPM, and all of that, and then obviously doing deal evaluations also on the side and talking to startups, right? And that's the first time I came to know that how active really the whole ecosystem is, and so many new things that people are trying to build out, and there are such extremely smart folks that you get to speak
Talk to.
because so far my entire circle was primarily CAs. Because आर्टिकलशिप में फ्रेंड्स बन गए वो भी सारे CAs,
Yeah.
then you go to PwC तो सभी
सब
CAs हैं.
CA.
So it's like 90% of a crowd is just CAs. So to actually meet people from other walks of life, and these are extremely experienced folks
Talented,
also, right?
yeah.
And talented too, of course, and plus experience. There are people who've worked for 20-25 years in a specific domain and trying to build something there. You have IIT, IIMs, and Ivy League students, who are now trying to build something. So such intelligent folks which you have so far not really got a chance to interact, and you are probably one of the first people who will come to know what's the new thing in the market. So that is extremely exciting, and I've actually discussed this with a couple of other VC folks as well, that what do you like most in this industry, and quite a lot of times is the response I get is the fact that you come
Get
to
to
know
meet.
meet new people and what are the new things that are coming out in the market, like what new technology is coming, what new product is coming, solutions and stuff like that, right? It's really extremely exciting. Like your day never gets boring. Like you can start talking to somebody who's building like a workflow application SaaS sort of a tool, and then in the
And-
evening be talking to somebody who's trying to do extremely groundbreaking things in say healthcare and trying to solve cancer and for all you know, right? So at least, and then yes, space tech and all of those things, right? So where else will you really get a chance to
And sometimes you get to be
explore?
on a podcast
Yeah.
talking interesting.
Yes, after a lot of years, yes. But yeah, so I found overall the whole line to be very interesting, and that's when I was okay for the fact that okay, let's continue this, and obviously there is an opportunity to convert into full-time role.
When
So,
you
yeah.
again just would want to pause because I remember one thing from my story also where after becoming a CA, I typically all my friends, everyone who were becoming a CA, they were joining either Big Four,
Yeah.
and this I'm talking about 2014-15, so 10 years back when I cleared my CA. They were doing, joining a Big Four or starting their own practice, joining their dad's business, joining their dad's CA firm, or joining MNC or something, right? I was always interested into stock markets and equities, and I wanted to get into equity research or corporate finance. And applied at a few companies, got rejected, brokerage houses like Motilal and stuff like that. And then I had applied also at a mid-size broking firm, so at Nariman Point, and got selected there. First had got rejected because then they had stopped hiring. Then they again called and got selected that time. The salary, coming to that part, the salary which I was getting was probably 50% haircut to what my peers would be getting in the traditional CA jobs जो एक fresher CA को मिलता है. So 50% haircut in that kind of a thing. But I still took it because, as you said, right, no responsibility at that point in time. You wanted to do what you are passionate about.
Correct.
And there was a lot of support from my parents. Okay, you try to do whatever like you feel that you are good into, or you can build something out of that, right? So took that haircut also, and it was there for like 1.5 year eventually, which got covered in 1 year, 1.5 year, that got covered, and I came on par because of my performance here at least on par with what my other CA people at with 1.5 2 years experience would be getting in a normal CA job.
Correct.
That they would be doing somewhere. So that happened. But yeah, that what I'm trying to get to is also that once you're doing something that you like, तो वो थोड़ा hit on the money does not hit you that strongly. If you're doing something what you love, and then you can probably survive for a little. You'll find out a way, कुछ ना कुछ करके you will probably come to a level where you can earn decently well for what you're doing also. Is that right? Did that also hit you that okay, I'm at least getting to learn, I'm really loving my job, and it's giving me good satisfaction.
Exactly. So that was exactly my thoughts in that first couple of months, because that, like I said, right, it's so interesting that you really look forward to coming
the next
to
day
office and working, right? And I had reached a point where I had reduced, or rather, I really didn't have much to crib to my husband about. Otherwise, in my previous organizations, because there are so many other pressures and things to deal with, right? And you're constantly cribbing. And there was a time where if you ask him, he'll also tell you that she's actually happy going to office. And I mean, all the previous situations where you are concerned because somebody is constantly upset with how the work is, right? So all of that things had completely gone. And other thing is, I mean, like you said, right, those things, it's just initial 1-2 years where you have to go through this, but eventually it gets covered. And in a conversation when I was discussing this with a friend of mine, and she very beautifully put it that in a career of 25-30 plus years, right, if for 2 years, 1-2 years, if there is a fall like this, where you have to go through something like this, it's not to the extent that you would like, so it's okay. It's just a blip on your entire 25-30 year career. It doesn't even matter. It's such a small timeline, right? And that's when it really you can introspect that yeah, in a larger picture it's okay, it doesn't matter, it's just 1 year, whatever, right? So okay. And then obviously you'll come on the other brighter side.
That's very interesting. I think that's how people should perceive. I don't think everyone does that. And when they see that, even when we are hiring, and if we are looking at a candidate who has some experience but not in our role, not in our field, like investment banking or fundraising, etc., but they are passionate about it, so I ask them then, like, you don't have experience, how can I pay you this much? What you are desiring? Maybe he is earning 100 rupees right now, he's expecting 25%, 30% hike, for a switch, typically people that they expect. So why should I pay you 130 when your experience is not in my field? I will pay you 50 rupees. I'll pay you 50 rupees. So are you comfortable? Then it will show that, okay, are you passionate about it or not? If you're willing to take that chance.
Correct.
If not, then it's just on a paper that I am passionate about it. But your major concern is money. That you don't want that to be hit. And everyone, it's not like that everyone is going to be in that position to accept that hit. Maybe you and me were lucky enough to take that position enough that okay, we could take that hit for some time. चलो एक ले लेते, because एक छोटा सा risk है. If it works out, it will be good. If it does not, you again have to go back to the drawing board, right? But not everyone would be in that situation. That's with due respect to that point.
Correct.
But yeah, I think that matters.
It does. Basically, I would say that we had that privilege of having financial backing and support of our family, so we could do it.
Yes. Tell me, coming to like, so right now in the VC ecosystem, right, as you said, you have sometimes long work hours and weekends also you're working, etc. I'm assuming it would be during some deal closures and stuff.
It's typically during that time.
Deal closures ho raha hai.
Otherwise, it's pretty nice actually.
So and your husband is also in Nomura, so that financial.
So he's into Asia taxation. He manages all the Asian entities.
All right. So how do you guys unwind? What do you guys do to unwind?
Sure.
I might pick up some things also for me and my wife too.
Sure. So couple of things. I mean, the pretty standard thing that we end up doing most weekend is obviously going out to meet people. We both have our friends, families, so usually kuch na kuch to plan bante hi rehta hai, and you end up meeting folks. Other thing is, like I said, I love food, so I do like going to new restaurants. So we try doing that. try exploring something or the other.
Hmm.
Then both of us like to, I mean, just classic Netflix and binge chill sort of a scene. We both like to do that also quite a lot. So yeah, we do. I mean, find a lot of common things. I have shown him how to watch good content compared to a
Oh,
lot
is
of
it?
yes, a lot of crap that he used to watch earlier. He still watches.
Why
some
does
of
every
those
girl
nowadays.
think that they have to, they have made their
Upgrade.
man upgraded in terms of the content?
Yeah, because I don't think so. At least he would not watch a lot of good things. There's
Like,
no
for example.
appreciation for serious drama related stuff and like very serious stories that could come out, and not just on the fiction side, even on the non-fictional side. I mean, I've introduced him to a lot of documentaries and stuff. So I really like watching
Oh, is it?
documentaries, especially on true crime or just other things, just real life incidents sort of things. So yes, so in general we do like to do that as well. Plus obviously travel together. We've one odd time I took him for dancing as well. Like he did the proper 2 months wala course also with
Oh,
me
wow.
for dancing. So yes, it was pretty flexible like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just in general just chill, hang out with friends, those sort of things.
All right, interesting. So this is little bit of a interesting question, and why I'm asking you this also I'll tell you in advance, because I feel now from the start that we have started, you are little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
So this is little bit of an interesting question which I would like to get your perspective on. Okay. You've been married for 6-7 years that you
Yeah.
said, right? There is a lot of many marriages that don't go well, many marriages that probably end up getting broken or something, right, end up in a divorce or something. I find you a strong headed woman, at least from this conversation. uh, what is your perspective or your point of view why this is happening in today's time, when India was supposed to be or is still, the lowest divorce rates in the world, but it is increasing. It is still the lowest, but it is increasing at a fast
absolutely.
pace. So, what is the reason, or just from your point of view, what
See,
is?
one thing could be that it's not that people were not unhappy in their marriages before also. There were a lot of incidents in the past also. We would have cases in our own family where people have not really been happy with their respective spouses because तभी तो क्या arranged marriage था यार, you barely know the person and you end up getting married to them, and eventually you realize that नहीं जम रहा है, but you still stick it out because that's how the Indian society overall was. Divorce was a very very rare phenomenon, and you really need to have a lot of courage to say back in the 80s or 90s say that my marriage is not working and I really need to get out of this. That was really unheard of, very few cases here and there, and that was a lot to do with the fear of the society, what people would say, for women especially, that I'll have to go back to my parents house and again the
become a
same
burden
thing,
to
bigger
them.
burden to them, unko log kya kahenge, and stuff like that, right? So people thought कि no, it's okay, let's just continue this, especially if you have a kid. They're like, at least for the sake of the kid,
And
let's
तब
just
kid तो
continue
एक ही
till
साल
the
में it was done.
हाँ, exactly.
So then
it was not a scenario like now where
Yeah.
people easily wait for 3-5
Postpone,
years
yeah.
and then have a kid. So it was a very different environment back then. I think what's happening now, and to some extent, if that sort of a scenario prevails, then it's a positive thing as well. That if you realize that you're not in a happy relationship, or it turned out to be something else than what was originally projected, then it just makes sense to split your ways, and rather than things becoming extremely unlivable or like constantly hampering your own mental peace, right? I mean, it's not worth it at the end of the day. I mean, you're constantly fighting with somebody, then there are cases where things get really brutal, right? There's domestic violence, then there's all sort of crime that happens against men, women, both. So just don't end up in this, might as well not end up in that situation. Take a logical step a step before, and just decide if it moves your separate way. So that could be one thing, and it's just that now people are a lot more confident, that they care less about the society now compared to the previous times. And other thing is that women are also a lot more independent now. Earlier there were very handful number of women who would join the workforce, have a career. Now there are majority of the women that you see around, married, unmarried, right? A lot of them are independent, and they are quite driven. I mean, it's okay if everybody's goal is not to become a CEO or a partner, but everybody,
They're driven in that.
yeah, they're driven in the fact that I want an independent life because I want to live life on my terms. So I think there is a significant generational shift in how the previous generation would think versus our generation. Previous generation was a lot more focused on that, like, let me look after my family, that I don't come first.
It was they versus me.
Correct.
Now
So
it's
yeah,
become me.
now it's primarily become me. So because पहले के ज़माने में क्या था, your moms or fathers, everybody would be like, नहीं, let me do this for my parents, my siblings, and my kids, and this and that. And now the whole shift is that, and they used to not. I mean, and it is probably the standard case across all our parents, right? They've really not lived a life that they should have. They've just sacrificed their time, their early years, in just to give you a better, in their kids a better life, right? And that is a complete generational shift in our generation, where everybody is that, okay, I want to provide for my family, I want to accumulate enough that I can support them well, but at the same time I don't want to be in a situation that where I am 60 and I'm regretting that, oh, what have I lived in my life for. Like, you may have achieved things financially and stuff like that, but if you really think of the time that you were really happy and you did things for yourself, वैसे वाले instances you probably can't count too much. So I think our whole generation does not want to live like that. They want to have that balance of uh, living for myself plus living for my family.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think that's very important. I think that they versus me, that shift has happened
Yeah.
very drastically. Where earlier it was about them, it was about us, and now it's more about me. I think that is something which is, especially in the metros, I would say,
Yeah, all the more.
where
Yes.
there are more affluent young couples.
Correct. Who have that exposure
Yeah,
also.
who have that exposure also. I also feel there's a lot of exposure to, because of social media, because of what they read and what they are watching. I think the decision making has become much more faster.
Yeah.
I also feel the patience level has decreased because of social media and because of many other things also, where you are not being patient with the other person, with the other partner. And also, I feel that there is a lot of things that you need to do this as per me. Matlab, how I want you to be, you should try to be like that. Like one spouse to the other spouse. So that becomes like you don't give that space to that person, basically. So this is what I think I have noticed in few people. Not that marriages have gone sour or something, or they've got the divorce, but I've seen couples end up doing this kind of a thing where they are not giving that space to the spouse, to his partner or her partner, that okay, you are like this, it's okay, not a problem. It's not that you have to do this because I want to do this or something like that. I feel that becomes little too controlling from one point.
And also, I mean, like you said, because of social media, this whole thing about comparison comes into picture, right? And especially if you see that the others are living life in a certain way, in a certain fashion, or probably they're just proclaiming their love too much on the social media, and then you are introspecting that, oh, is it like this in my life? Are we disconnected or whatever,
मेरा husband तो ये करता ही नहीं
कुछ
ऐसा.
करता नहीं, does he feel the same way about me and stuff like that. So वो थोड़ा, एक तो you also have to be able to see कि दिखावा क्या है, reality क्या है, and just not compare completely in everything into every scenario. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't. I'm also guilty of doing that. But yeah, that is an advice that I also keep getting, especially from my husband, that it's okay. At times, you really should not compare how other people are and what your life is, because everybody's situation is very different. But yes, the point is there that people are maybe probably less patient in this generation compared to previous ones.
Because of social media, because of Amazon, you want everything instantly, right?
So the reels,
so the
TikTok,
reels, this, that, ordering everything in 2 days, coming to your place, Uber. So that has made you very impatient. You cannot wait for a cab now. You cannot wait for your spouse to become a little better, or give him that whatever, that freedom, space, freedom, etc. Okay, so now coming to a little bit of a final leg of this conversation, right? This is one question I like to ask to all my guests.
Okay.
All right. It's about money. So let me like tell us what was your first money lesson, and of course being a good Jew you would have got many and you would have seen many, but what was your first money lesson which you like got, you know, wired in your brain properly, and from whom it was, and when was it?
One of the first money lessons, and I think I still carry till date, probably would be that पैसा किसी का भी हो but waste नहीं होना चाहिए. And I think it came from my father only. And till date I don't have that attitude. Like I said, that I'm always on the lookout to get the best deals and stuff like that. That probably is an outcome of that. But I'm not one of those people who feel कि if I am not paying for it, if somebody else is paying for it, उड़ाने दो पैसे. Let's just splurge, or let us spend. Let's not think about if somebody else is sponsoring. The budget could be office, could be somebody else that you know. So no, I don't have that thinking. My think is that there is a value assigned to everything in life, and you should pay or spend on it based on the value assigned. Doesn't matter who pay. So वो एक that thinking I still have, that I'm not comfortable with the fact that if somebody else is sponsoring, then मतलब जो मन में आए वो करो. I don't think that's the right approach to anything.
Yeah.
Just give whatever the value is. And so yeah, that is one thing that I carry till date. What else? Just thinking if there's any other money lesson. I mean, I think in general is just to be mindful of what you're spending, how you're spending. Situation for everybody is different, right? Everybody has a different cushion that they come from, backing that they have. But the same thing, I mean, just everybody has certain.
From whom did you learn this lesson?
I'm not too sure if I learned it from people, or I just probably learned it over time of experience that I have and the situation that I am in.
Any specific thing that your father or your kaka would have explained about money or something, coming from a good Jew family?
So the first thing, like I said, that is from my family itself, because that's what I have noticed. But no, other thing is just, I mean, I'm very mindful of how you spend money.
Where all do you invest?
It's spread across. I mean, I've invested in mutual funds, stock market, a little bit in real estate, and but so financially, okay. If I say about money, again, so this I think is a lesson from over time only. Probably learning of how actually investing, of how you should invest, is something that I've seen from my father. Yeah, investing is what I've learned from my father, because we still have a joint business with my kaka, and till date my father manages a lot of the money and finances within the family. So that way, in a sense, you diversify and just take control of knowing where your finances are. And that way, me and my husband are also extremely focused. Like, I have seen so many people of my generation, my age, my peers, including people who are chartered accountants, right? They are very lax with their entire financial planning, is what I feel. In spite of the fact that you've done a finance code, people have no understanding of where to put their money. And I'm not saying that I'm a म्यूचुअल फंड और स्टॉक मार्केट एक्सपर्ट कि मुझे पता होगा कौन से फंड में इन्वेस्ट करो या कौन से स्टॉक में इन्वेस्ट करो, बट एटलीस्ट यू शुड हैव अ नॉलेज दैट हाउ योर फाइनेंस शुड गो अबाउट. देयर आर सर्टेन बजट्स टू बी केप्ट इन माइंड, हाउ important investing really is. I know cases where people don't start investing until 30, 32 and post that, right? I mean, the amount of time you're losing on account of compounding, it's insane that people, in this day and age are still doing this with so many tools at your exposure. I mean, you don't have the right expertise, that's fine. There are a lot of experts, financial experts also available. There are people also available if you're comfortable talking to somebody. But it's just, they're absolutely clueless. If you ask them, okay, where are you investing? It's like, oh, I don't know, my husband takes care of it. They don't know the simple things like, how important an insurance policy could be. And or why do you need a term insurance? What sort of scenarios it can help you? Health insurance, this, that. It's just that lack of entire financial knowledge. It's astonishing, and I think, people should take a lot more active interest into how your money is going to grow, because obviously at the end of the day, all of that is for you. Especially women, yeah. I feel so many women are especially dependent on their husband to take these calls. And it's just, I don't get it. I'm very active into this whole thing, and to see where my money is actually flowing. So quite
interesting. All right. Before we come to the last thing, which is the rapid fire.
Oh,
One
okay.
question that I have is थोड़ा interview जैसा question है, but don't take it like that. Where do you see yourself in the next, like these 10 years have been professional experience, after CA, etc. Next 10 years में, where do you see yourself professionally and personally also?
Professionally, personally, okay. Professionally, I would like to continue in the investments line in some shape or form. So yeah, so that's how I will, because I really enjoy this field of work. So I do expect to work in that line and grow in that line. Who knows, become a partner somewhere or lead investment somewhere or something. I don't know what and where, but yes, the goal is to continue going down that path itself. That's on the professional front. Personal front, same thing. I see living a happy life with my husband and just taking more trips, just enjoying good food and having a good time overall. So yeah, just with friends, family, and stuff like that. Maybe finding more time to do things that I really enjoy, like dancing, which I feel of lately I have not done much of it. So yeah, so actually be able to manage time a little better and find time for things that make me genuinely happy.
Yeah. I think that should be the bottom line
Yeah.
for everyone, that you get time over and above your work, because work also, if you're happy at your work, that's good, but your whole day cannot go into that. You
Yeah,
have
the
to,
ultimate satisfaction.
yeah, you have to do something what also makes you happy other than your work.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Parmi, let's start with the rapid fire. Okay.
Sure.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, chalo. First question: choose between the two, CA or CFA.
CA? I think it's harder to clear.
Harder to clear. I think everyone has that first baby wala cheez hota hai with CA. If you have two babies, I think it's that first.
No, but I think the numbers will also show in terms of passing percentage.
Yeah, I
That's
think it's
an
always
evidence.
very, very difficult. So
Yeah, CFA is comparatively
you
better.
feel more proud that
Yeah,
you are CA, right? All right. Second one, again, choose between the two: more money or satisfaction at work with less money.
The latter. Yeah.
The
Very
latter.
clear
I think
about
that
that.
we discussed
I mean,
this.
yeah. I don't want to. I have always said this to people that I would not want to hamper my mental peace just for maybe a couple of additional lakhs. It's okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Again, choose between the two: settle in India or abroad, given the opportunities in both the places.
That's a very subjective question, to be honest. I mean,
Your this thing, your.
Again, it depends from a person's situation to situation and what's more important. Obviously, settling abroad has its own perks and the kind of facilities and amenities that
For
it
you.
offers. For me, I mean, yeah, so we've chosen to stay in India, given the the line of work we are in, and the fact that we have a lot of our people around. So that's a significant pull to stay in India.
All right. Fourth one, one tip to a founder that is pitching to you that you would want to give.
Understand your product really well and see if there's really a market for it. A lot of times people end up building solutions and they may be quite interesting or something maybe different, but if there is if there's not a market for it, where are you going to sell, right? And if they are not able to sell, how will a VC really make money out of it? So look at the fact that if there's really a market in the first place, or are there really buyers of what you're trying to sell?
So that initial market research, stuff like that, customer research little bit too is very important.
Understanding the problem, if it's really even a problem.
Correct, got it. And the last one is one negative trait in a founder which you find it as a big red flag.
Arrogance. Recently interacted in one of our calls and I was so put off. I'm okay with a lot of other things that probably they've not done their research enough, or they're trying to hide a little bit things here and there, there's not too many competition or a lot of other things, right? But it's just if somebody comes across as that arrogance that, oh, I'm something and I've done this, it just puts me off.
But then if the business is very good, making good money or whatever your thesis is, probably fits into that. But then this softer quality aspect that you did not like, how do you put it to your IC? I think then
with the person really has been. Was it one off, or is it a repeated behavior that you're seeing? Because see, while right now it's all good and flowery, etc., but eventually it may become very difficult to deal with such founders in the long run. So that is also something that you have to keep in mind and consider and take decisions accordingly.
Got it. All right. So that's the end of the rapid fire. Before we wrap up, a final question. One advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self.
Oh, okay. My 20-year-old self, starting at that, I think, believe more in yourself. That there are good things lying ahead. So just believe in yourself and have more confidence. I'm just knowing the fact that how I was back then. That's the advice I would give myself.
Okay. Got it. All right. Wonderful, Parmi. Thanks a lot. I think it was a wonderful session.
Great. I mean, I also really had a good time.
I had promised you.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, great. It was really cool. It was really smooth in terms of interacting, and we spoke on a lot of different topics.
Yes.
Got to know your perspective. Probably got to know human side about you. That probably people would also come to know eventually more than the investor side of you. But really interesting. Thanks a lot, Parmi, for gracing this episode. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me. And I mean, like you said, right? You said I'll make you comfortable. Don't worry, etc. So obviously, I was a little nervous at the beginning, but yes, eventually it turned out to be pretty well. So quite happy about it.
Great. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
What's up, guys? Before I sign off, I would love to know whether you really liked this video or not. If you did, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell so that whenever our video goes live, you are notified first. This would be a really small task for you, but trust me, this would help us a lot in spreading this knowledge world over and helping people level up their knowledge. Signing off, Devansh, Lakhani.